Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Your higher self has a lot to say to you and is just looking for the right way to say it. Got a great episode here on how you can learn to talk to your inner self, your higher self. Learn to have those communications when you're trying to figure out what should I do, what shouldn't I do, what's right, what's wrong, rather than asking someone outside of yourself. And most of the greatest teachers, by the way, of all times, have always suggested going inside yourself to find your answers, to understand the secrets of life, to go inside yourself. So that one of the key ways of going inside yourself is kind of to figure out a way to have a dialogue, a way that you can interact with it and it can interact with you. And so there's going to be a little level of belief and disbelief. So let's speak to that really quickly. A lot of people are going to be like, how do I know it's my higher self? I don't know. I just take the messages you're getting and kind of go from there and see, are they good? Are they helpful? Are they beneficial? Because you'll find that they are, especially as you get better and better at this. A lot of times we'll be like, well, what is it that I'm communicating with? Well, there's a lot of theories around that. Frankly, I don't know. We could dig into that for hours, but let's not get lost. I'd like you to at least try the experience and see how it works out. Well, what if it's some sort of entity that I shouldn't or whatever? You can always ask, one, who am I connected with? Two, if the advice that's being given is of love and light, you will know it versus harming others or doing other things along those lines. If that's happening to you, you've got a very, very different experience going on, and I would step back. There's a lot of things. I would clean chakras. I would look into a lot of things. And I'm going to cover a couple of these different arenas as far as how we can make steps in this. And this is really a video for those that really want to learn how to speak to your higher self, to learn to start to channel, to get into experiencing, tapping into the infinite intelligence that exists about us, or tapping into source, or tapping into universe, tapping into your higher self, whatever it is. The collective. There's a lot of great names for it. So a lot of things that tend to help out in this arena, first off, is just trying to get through the belief, disbelief. So hopefully I've still got you with me. Crystals, highly recommend them. One of my favorites is one of my favorite pieces right here. And then honestly, Moldavite's one of my favorite. I don't say that everyone's got to get one. These are just the two that I tend to feel really good with when I want to do different sorts of manifestations. Now, again, I've linked a book. It's below, but I just bought it too recently. But it's a book on crystals. And for me, there's two sort of avenues to kind of go with crystals. Which one's the right one? How should I use them? Which hand should they be in? There's a lot of different things that can kind of go into it. So what I recommend, one, do a little intellectual research. Look it up online. What's if you're trying to get love into your life, what's a good crystal for getting love? What's a good crystal to channel? What's a good crystal to help me connect with my higher self? What's a good crystal for healing? What's a good crystal for manifesting money? What's a good crystal for... There's crystals for all sorts of different kinds of things. So you can go any number of directions. Me, quartz is pretty solid almost always. Diamond, quartz, any of the clear white ones generally are moving clear white light, and that's kind of what you're going for in the big picture. This piece of Moldavite might not be the right one, might be the right one, doesn't matter. But what it is for me is feel, and that's the other side of this. So you can intellectually look up all the stuff you want. Ultimately, you want it to feel right and good. Someone could say, you need to have this, you need to have that, and you put it in your hands, and you're like, it just doesn't feel right. I want that pretty orange one. Let me grab the orange calcite and hold that and say, yeah, that actually feels right. So do what feels right, and that's the other side of it. So you can kind of aim your direction and look at what you should do, but then you can try it, see how it feels, and that is a big part of this whole experience. So crystals are good, and I recommend using these from meditation. Use them in your hands, feel what you left or right, whatever feels better. Do a meditation, one that's kind of one of those more your clearing thought meditation, one of those kind of just trying to get all that stuff out of me, all the questions, all the fears, all the anxiety, all the, am I good enough, all the, I'm not smart enough, all the, did I get my eggs at the store? Oh, crap, right? All the different things that we've got going on in our minds. Just try to clear it out, let it go, focus on your breathing, in, out, pause in between. Do this. Sacred breaths. You generally want the in-breath and the out-breath about the same length. It's just a good practice, right? So keep doing that. Use those. And once you kind of get yourself to the place where you've sort of, okay, yeah, I've been doing this for a few. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling excellent. Now you're ready to do a little bit of a communication here. And one of the trickiest parts about this whole thing is the getting over the fact that am I one talking to this individual or whoever it is, this intelligence, which is your higher self, by the way, but am I talking to them? Am I not? How do I know it's them saying it? How do I do it? Right? Like there's no doing with it. And that's why this technique is so awesome, because it helps us get over that doing hump. You don't do channeling. Channeling happens. You don't do these sorts of things. They happen. So here's a method to help them happen. Now, one thing I want to say is, when it comes to meditation, I was just going to mention this really quick. This guy, Drunvalo Melchizedek, this circle of life, the flower of life, this whole tree of life, this whole inner thing, he's got some extremely amazing meditation that's around your Merkaba and getting your Merkaba going. I will say, from a, just to the next level up kind of thing, highly recommend going down that path. That link is below. It's one of the books that I'm very, very fond of. This guy he wrote some amazing stuff, got into some very ancient secrets and cool stuff. Not secrets per se, but, the pyramids and a lot of things. Just amazing stuff. So again, from a meditation standpoint, that Merkaba one's amazing and certainly helps in manifesting. Kind of off to the side, but now a lot of us have our own talents, our own comforts. Okay, some of us are really into pictures, visuals. Maybe we draw, and that's something that you could do. Sometimes the drawing is less of the concern as much, and I think it's hard to see. But if you're a drawer and that's your images come to you, and you can somehow quickly scribble out a scene or something, and then that would mean something to you, that might work. Normally, I would say this works typically better for people that like to write or like to speak. If you like to do either of those, or are comfortable doing any of those, this is an awesome technique for you. Now, when it comes to writing personally, I like a pen or a pencil. I like that tactile object. I was brought up writing. That's just, it was how I learned to create letters and stuff. We didn't have computers when I was first born. It was not really until about 5th grade or so when they really came into my life. Maybe you're more comfortable doing it on a computer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you do it, as long as you can keep up with yourself and write fast enough and whatever. And if you're into speaking, you can do one of two things. You can either get a recording device, maybe for your phone, maybe for like this, what I've got going on here. Audacity is a free online software, the thing that's in the background over here. Any number of things you can do. Cheap microphone, and you're on your way, off to the races, as they say. Or use your phone. Or record yourself with a video camera or your phone. And just prop it up against something. I don't want you holding it necessarily, unless it's like phone for me. I don't know, when I'm talking, I can do it. I can kind of just hold it by my mouth and pace the house. I'm a pacer, right? So I can walk back and forth and do it. But as long as you're in a comfortable, like you're not thinking about it, you're not worried about it, it's just there and it's not a part of anything, then it's okay. If it's something that's going to distract you, then set it down and let it record you while you sit in a calm, relaxed, still holding your crystals. Probably a good idea. Get yourself into that place. Now, here's where you ask your question. So what I do when I do it is I go, hey, higher self, like what's going on with so-and-so, or what's going on with this job, or what am I missing right now in the deeper picture with life? Why do I kind of feel like there's sort of this void going on? Why, help me understand that. Or, these are the places where you can do a lot more than just yes, no. You can actually ask for questions with answers. And a lot of us, again, this is where you've got to just be like, just go for it, all right? Just do me a favor and just go for it. Don't fight it. Don't be like, well, how do I... A lot of us do that. Don't. Just go with it. You're not going to hurt anything by trying this, just openly trying this. So what you do is you ask that question, higher self, what's going on? How do I do this? Whatever it is. And then you begin writing. You just start writing the answer. And usually it can be something really, like if you want an easy way to kind of get yourself, hi Dan, you're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I've really wanted to communicate with you and it's been a while. And just start writing. The thing that is the key with this is you're taking its stream of consciousness, which means as the word enters your mind, you're writing it down. You're not thinking about it. You're just taking them as they come and writing them. That's how you will get into it. That's how you'll get into the flow. That's how you'll know you're doing it. The words are just coming and you're just basically trying to keep up with them. You're like a stenographer in a courtroom. You have no idea what's actually being said because you're just concentrating on words and making sure you get them down. It's one of the reasons why you have to record this in some way, shape, or form. If you try to do this exercise just without any sort of, like, you just speak out loud and hope you'll remember, you won't. You won't, because when you're truly channeling, you're not aware of what you're saying. You're just saying it. It's not something you do. You don't go, hang on a second, let me channel. No, it's not how it goes. You just start, and you just start going, and there it is. Or you just start seeing it, and you're there, and the second you're like, what did I just see? It's gone. It's not a conscious mind thing as much as picking up on something that's more general, larger, bigger than, outside of our minds at least, our individual minds, maybe more of a collective mind. But it's outside there, and you're translating it in. And so that's all you're doing, is you're just writing it down. So just write it as quickly as you can, or just start speaking the words, Dan, it's really nice to see you. I think you're a great guy. And so, yeah, no, the reasons why you kind of feel like you're void in your life right now is because you've got a couple pieces where you know you're not doing as much as you can. Like, this is legitimately just giving myself advice right now. It was something I recently did to make a small change that, again, don't talk about what you're doing, and I'm not. I've got a change I've made, and we'll see how the manifestation starts to come to fruition, or starts to show itself, if you will. I'm excited to see, because I think it's going to show itself in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, like I said, it's part of the manifestation. It's just fun. It's a journey for me, right? So I started it. I did the work. Pretty much let go, but I know it's happening. Like, that's the thing. So I'm just like, yeah, so it's going to unfold. It's beautiful how it plays out. But if you're a talker, you ask the question out loud, and then you start answering it. You start talking. Just start talking. Just start talking. If it makes no sense, just keep talking. Be like, what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, but I don't care. I'm just going to keep kind of talking, and then eventually something's going to come out. Just get yourself to a place where you aren't actually controlling the dialogue as much as the dialogue's happening. When you get yourself to that place, the answer will start to come out. And what's awesome about this technique is this isn't somebody trying to, let me show you a book on how to do this. Granted, I do recommend that book, but I didn't write it, so it's some other guy's going to make money off that deal, and companies that might ship it and all that. But it doesn't matter. It's a great book. But the point is, this is something you experience. You see it. You have the answers, and you're like, wow, that's like a really interesting answer. And maybe the first time you do it might be a little weird. Maybe it doesn't totally make sense. Maybe there was places where you could feel yourself grabbing back on or asking questions and you lost the channel. It'll happen. You've got to learn to just stay in it and just keep going. And just keep going. And keep going until you feel like you've asked all the questions you want to ask, or at least you don't need any more clarification on it. You're aware of it as it happens, but it drops like within a minute of saying it. You're like, I don't even remember it anymore. It's very cool. And from a multidimensional kind of how I think conversations happen in higher densities and whatnot, I think it's kind of neat how that conversation's just now, and there's no other real component to it. It's just very much of a now kind of moment. That's why I love performing. And stream of consciousness is the thing. It's something about being in that place where just whatever's coming out, whatever I'm connected to, whatever that is, my higher self, myself, whatever, it's this very cool place where magic happens. I think Robin Williams was bless his soul, was one of my favorite examples of someone that was just an amazing stream of consciousness person. It's fantastic. So writing, if it's writing for you, if it's speaking for you, if it's just recording yourself and you just staring at a camera and then do that. Like I said, drawing, if that works for you, I'm not sure. That'd be, like, my brain doesn't work right that way, so I can't quite imagine how that would work. Might, though. As long as you understand conceptually, you've got a question, okay, and draw out the answer. Draw the picture that suddenly pops into your head, and you're like, okay, well, that's the answer, and then draw it. And I would assume in the process of drawing, you're going to connect some interesting spiritual connectors, and some very interesting ideas are going to pop into your head. And so the drawing the picture itself is probably extremely therapeutic, and you'll probably get other signs and symbols along the way. So yeah, actually I could see that being a very effective way for a higher self to communicate with someone that's got a very visual mind. Hopefully these things can help you connect to that higher self of yours and ask yourself question rather than asking some crazy nut job like Dan RadioStyle, what should I do? You know what to do. The answer's inside of you. Always has been. This is your dream, your vision, your manifestation. This is your question to answer. What do you want to create? It's your life. Dan RadioStyle.